So hi, I look awful. This is my first time ever using ovulation tests because I am still breastfeeding and I'm only a year postpartum. So my period's been good for the past 2 months. It's been very predictable, as it normally has been, but before that it was everywhere. Anyway, that's why I'm using OPKs. Me and Jimmy are TTCing currently. And I got impatient and I needed to pee on a stick of some kind, so I peed on an ovulation test. And this is what it looked like. So that's interesting. We have been trying for a little bit, and I only was using the app for a little while, but my periods were so bad. 45-day, 50-day cycles. And the 19-day cycles, those were the worst. So I decided to take OPKs this time. Let me look on my app. I took a test every day for like a week. All were negative. And then I decided to wait until my fertile window was a little closer to start testing again. And I did on the 31st because it was close to my peak day. So on the 30th, my birthday, and the 31st, I was starting to feel the start of ovulation. I was feeling bloating. I was having my cramps. I was having a little bit of cervical mucus on my birthday. But then on the 31st is when I got a lot of CM, cervical mucus, and discharge. There was so much discharge. And so I took an OPK and it was blazing positive. And so I was like, I can trust my body. I can trust myself. I know myself. I'm going to probably take another one tomorrow. But tomorrow I am also 6 days before my period. But the problem is now, do I wait or do I not wait? I did have a chemical pregnancy in March of last year. And I was having symptoms. I did get positive tests, but I had a miscarriage fairly quickly. Ever since then, anytime that I kind of think that I might be possibly the faintest possibility of me being pregnant, I symptom spot.
Oh my god. So I recorded that video earlier and I decided to take some OPKs. I'll insert the pictures here just to fuel my pee on a stick addiction. And they were blazing positive. And I was like, wait a second, I ovulated before, so why am I ovulating again? Looked it up. They can detect pregnancy. I'm only 7-8 DPO. What I decided to do was just to humor myself and take this blue dye test because it's blue dye. And even though they're unreliable, it doesn't matter to me. Well, I'm fucking shaking. That's not just a squinter. Oh, there goes the baby. Here we are again. Let's do this. So it comes with two. It comes with a digital and a regular one. I'm gonna take the regular one first. I dipped it for 5 seconds. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Is that good? Is it gonna start? time to wait. I don't really trust blue dye, so I got a fresh response. I've only waited like a minute. I'm gonna look. I'm gonna look away. Oh my god. Yep. Yay! I'm pregnant. Okay, so I'm gonna use the digital then. One. Alright. Here it is. Plain as day. I'm so excited.
Hey everybody, I didn't think I would be doing these videos again for a while. But today, I am 4 weeks pregnant. I was due to start my period the 15th, between the 13th and the 15th. So I was actually due today. If it was a normal cycle, 28 days. But if it was a 30-day cycle, it would have been the 15th. So 13th, 14th, 15th, I was supposed to start. Even though it was just a week past my ovulation day. And I wasn't feeling good. I was not feeling myself, and I thought that I was just making it up, that it was all in my head. But I read that you could take ovulation tests, and ovulation tests can pick up pregnancy because they can't tell the difference between LH or HCG. Wow, is it starting already? Pregnancy brain? Really? You can pick up HCG and LH. LH is ovulation hormone. HCG is pregnancy hormone. Pregnancy tests cannot pick up when you ovulate, but ovulation tests can pick up both. I legit sat there though for 30 minutes just so excited and so happy. So, good afternoon, everybody. The date is January 16th, 2019. And I just recently went to the hospital because, as you guys know, I'm pregnant. On Monday, I woke up, I was feeling really bloated, and I had some cramping, and I know that that's normal. It felt kind of like gas pain when you're really needing to pass gas, but it's all trapped and you feel kind of constipated. It felt like that. And a mix of period cramps, because my period was due officially like between the 13th, 14th, and 15th. So the fact that this took place on the 14th wasn't surprising to me. And as the day progressed, the pain got worse, but I tried to just power through it and ignore it. And by evening time, it was pretty bad, and I was actually wiping and checking for blood because that's how bad it hurt. At 5 in the morning, I got woken up by Landon saying he needed to go pee, and he did. And then I followed and went pee, and when I wiped, there was blood. And that scared me a lot because of the pain and how I was feeling the day prior. So I wiped, it was red. I wiped again, it was red. So that meant that it was coming out. And then I put a pad on. I did something, and then I felt like I had to go pee again. So I went pee, and there was blood on the pad. It wasn't a lot, but it was a considerable amount. And so I kind of freaked out. I was trying to decide if I should wake my dad up, and I did. And we headed to the ER at like 5:30 in the morning. We arrived there, I checked in, I got urine, I got my blood tested, I did get a physical exam, with my pelvic area, and I got an ultrasound. The ultrasound came back that they couldn't see anything because I was so early, which I was only 4 weeks at that point, so I was not surprised. My HCG came back in the 500s. I forget the exact number, but I know that it was in the 500s. And my urine came back that I had a severe UTI and bacterial vaginosis. I had not had bacterial vaginosis in a couple years, and so I already knew what it was. And sometimes I get both the UTI and bacterial vaginosis. They're both different kinds of bacteria, but they do both occur in the vagina. So, oh, there's Papa and a baby. Hey. With the pelvic exam, they said there was no more active bleeding. There was a little bit of brown mucus, but there was no red blood, and that my cervix was completely closed and that everything felt fine. Because I was afraid that it was ectopic pregnancy because of how much pain I was in, but my pain was not taking place like on my ovaries. It was in the middle where my bladder was. So after about 3 hours in the hospital, they gave me some IV antibiotics and some fluids, and that was that, and they sent me home. Fingers crossed that the bleeding was just because of the UTI, because you can have vaginal bleeding during pregnancy because of a UTI. And today I'm kind of doing more, but I am also resting a lot in between. So I go in to my OB office tomorrow to get another HCG draw, and fingers crossed that the HCG is going up. So I will update once I go to my doctor and actually see if my HCG went up. So it's 4:30, the same day as I made that video talking about my hospital visit. So it's like 4 hours later, and I've been sorry for that. He's on the boob. I've been experiencing cramps again. The cramps started at 1:30, and they've kind of let up since, but I keep having bowel movements. I've had like 2 every hour since, and every time I wipe it's still red. It's not really passing on to the pad, but it's there when I wipe and it's red. It's my baby. But there's a part of me that still has hope that that's not what it is, and this is going to be one of those times where the baby comes and they're fine. And this will be one of those stories that you hear, like, well, I was bleeding, but the baby came fine. The pain sucks. It feels like a period. That's bad. But just the cramps. There's no blood yet. Not any real blood. I'm heartbroken. But I won't fully allow myself to grieve anything until I know for sure. There's a big reason why I look absolutely atrocious and pale and sick. The day that I recorded that video talking about how I went to the hospital and they told me that it was a suspected miscarriage, I had come home and I was just kind of hoping that it was something similar to the time that I was pregnant with Landon. I had some bleeding and that was that. Well, not even like an hour after recording that, I started to feel the pain again. And the pain actually got increasingly worse. Picked up Lennon from school. I ate some pizza. There was blood again. I was now convinced that something was wrong. At around 6 o'clock, I felt this emergency need to go to the hospital again. I told them what I was experiencing in better detail. I told them that I was feeling very dizzy. I felt fullness in my belly, felt kind of bloated, but I just was not feeling correct. I was still bleeding, but the pain was awful. It was all on my left side, by the way. From there, everything went fast. At about 10:30, 11, I was told that I was going to go into immediate surgery. That I was internally bleeding, that I had a possibly ruptured left tube, that it was ectopic pregnancy, that my numbers had only gone up about 100 points since yesterday. And so by midnight, I had already called my sister, Jimmy, I told Damon, I told my closest friends that I was going to go into surgery, and I was fucking terrified. They said that I was going to be under general anesthesia and that I would just wake up when it was done. They explained the procedure to me, that I was going to have 3 incisions. One was going to be right above my belly button, right above or below my belly button. That was where the camera was going to go explore and see what was going on. And then hopefully I wouldn't need the other 2 incisions, that if I did, they would be 2 incisions to either repair or remove the tube and explore the tubes or whatever if they needed to. So I was so scared. The lighting's not as good, but it's at least quieter. So I was scared because of the anesthesia. I wasn't even really scared of the procedure. I trusted these doctors very much because they were very nice to me. They were very reassuring. They understood that I was scared. And I was just scared of the anesthesia. I was afraid that I was going to have like a weird reaction to it. I was going to die or something. So exactly at midnight, I rolled into the OR and I was out like that. And that was that. I woke up a little bit past 2 o'clock in the recovery room. They were talking to me. And one of the nurses said, "Hey, we took some pictures. Do you want to see your baby?" And I said, "Yes, absolutely, please." And there was a perfectly little, teeny, tiny, developed, like, I know what a 4-week, 5-week-old little tiny embryo, fetus, whatever, looks like. And it looked exactly like I would expect. And it was so beautiful. And I asked to see it again because I couldn't believe how beautiful they were. And I was so happy, and I said, "Thank you so much for showing me that. It helps me a lot." And she said, "You're welcome. You're so welcome." And she said, "Look, this is just reassurance that there's nothing wrong with you. This just happens. It just happens. It's a freak accident, and as many beautiful babies as you have, if you really want to try again, you can always try again." But I've had many vials of blood taken, which is why I look so pale. Been working up my ability to eat again because they pump your stomach full of air and it kind of messes with your digestion and just everything. I have pretty much just been resting. My dad has been so helpful with everything. Like when I was told I had to go into surgery, he was watching Landon, and my best friend was watching the baby. I let them know first, of course. And as you can see, Landon's nuts. So my dad did a very wonderful job, and so did my best friend. The kids were very well taken care of. Kind of wanted to show you my incisions. So one is right here. It's this dark line right there. So there's one. There's another one. There's another one. Because when I first got home, It wasn't this that was bleeding, it was that. It wasn't even the incision that was bleeding, but like my first thought when I saw blood coming out of my belly was that it was the top incision bleeding, and I like freaked the fuck out. But no, it was just one of the spots that they gave me anesthetic or whatever. I have been having a little bit of bleeding. They say that you're not really supposed to bleed really at all after the procedure, because your body, it's not like a miscarriage. Your body doesn't expel the tissue. It has to kind of figure out that you weren't pregnant anymore. Very, very little bleeding. It's not even really catching on a pad so much as it is when, like, I make a bowel movement. And my bowels are still very loose. It's mostly when I wipe after one of those that there's blood on the toilet paper. Sometimes when I just go pee, there's some blood on there. I am having some cramping today. I'm hoping that my HCG drops enough to where my body starts expelling the thickening lining that it was creating for baby number 4. I'm recovering physically rather quickly, because I'm only on day 3 and I'm already starting to feel more myself. I still do sleep a lot. I'm not eating as much, but I feel like it's a new chapter for me. Am I ever going to have kids again? I hope so. I hope I do get to have my one last baby. But as for now, I've just realized that it's not the right time. There's something I guess I'm supposed to do first. So this is my first loss. It's my first, child loss. And I know it's very, very common, and I'm so glad that I live in a world now where stuff like that happens and it can be fixed. And I'm not stuck dying from it. So I am very fortunate for that. It just sucks.
So hello there. Present Amy, coming at you 2 years after my ordeal. I literally had a miracle happen, because after going through all of that and for 3 weeks grieving my loss of not only my tube but my baby, I was still having a lot of physical issues. I went to my primary doctor. He wanted to make sure that my HCG was dropping, and he also ordered a scan of my kidneys. So a couple days after he ordered the test, I went in for my ultrasound, and I told the ultrasound tech a little bit about what had happened. So I told her a little bit, and as she was doing the ultrasound, she checked my abdomen, and she said, "How far along do you think you would be right now?" I said, 7-8 weeks. She said, "Oh." And I look over at the ultrasound and I'm like, am I seeing what I'm actually seeing? I thought I was tripping because I'm not a professional, so how the heck would I know? And she said, "Well, don't mean to alarm you, but you have an 8-week-old little fetus in your belly." She showed me the heart rate and showed me that they looked like they were growing on time, and I couldn't believe it. She said, "Are you sure it was ectopic?" I'm like, "Yes, I had surgery." So I had something that they call a heteroectopic, meaning I had one implant in my uterus, very normal, and another implant in my fallopian tubes. My OB was astonished. I went through this period of time when I felt very conflicted with emotion. I felt like I was so blessed and so excited and fortunate, and just I wanted to celebrate. But at the same time, I'm in these support groups for people who have gone through normal ectopics, and I felt like I had no right to be there anymore. I still had lost a tube and a baby, but I get to keep another baby. So you can understand why I felt like now I didn't meet the requirements to be
considered a loss, and it was very rough, but I've accepted my story as a wonderful miracle, and I would never have it any other way. The little boy that I gave birth to September 19th of 2019, his name is Alessio. He is currently 22 months old. When he was born, he actually suffered from shoulder dystocia. He got stuck in my pelvis sideways, and he had a really long cord. Like really long. They held it up and it was like this. And to top it all off, he had a knot in his cord. It's called a true knot. Now let me just say one thing. Thank you to the ER OB that believed in my body. And I say this because sometimes when you have an ectopic and they do the laparoscopy and they remove your tube, sometimes they go in and do like a DNC type deal where they clean out your uterus to help move things along for you. And my EROB told me when I was in the ER that she did not do that, that she believed in my body's ability to shed the lining and just go about its business. If she would have done that, if she would have cleaned out my uterus, I would not have Alessio. And I would have never known. I would have never known. So thank you. Thank you so much for believing in my body. So thank you everyone for joining me on this roller coaster of a journey. Say hello. I'm Alessio. Can you say hi? Hi. Mama. Hi, Mama. Hi, Mama. I'm Mama. I'm Dada. I'm Alessio. I'm Dada. I'm almost 2. No. Mama. No. Yeah. Oh, thank you. Oh, no. Say bye-bye. Bye, Mama. Say bye-bye. Bye, Dada.